As you know, we've been following the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Undocumented migrant from El Salvador, married an American woman, has a kid, living the American dream. Until the Trump administration sent him to an El Salvadorian mega prison by, and I'm quoting the Justice Department here, if I may, is an administrative error. If only there was a convenient and timely way that the prisoner could be brought back to the United States that wouldn't really inconvenience either nation.
President Bukele at the moment flying from El Salvador to Washington, D.C.
What? Saints be praised! Bukele can just give Garcia a ride. You don't even have to give Garcia the middle seat. I'm sure Garcia would just grab the wing and Tom Cruise it over here if he had to. But sadly, Bukele arrived at the White House with just the Miami club promoter clothes on his back and a pocket full of excuses.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
You know, can I honestly tell you, like, this isn't even the thing that's, like, they're enjoying this. Like, the two of them. Our president, their president, okay, I guess we'll just have to let him rot in a prison, even though he didn't deserve to be there. You guys don't care about this guy. I'm talking about these two, but somebody else cares about this person. And you just randomly, with no evidence that you'll show anybody, called him a terrorist. And one of the weirder parts about this is the only thing that seems to upset Trump about the entire situation is having to answer a perfectly reasonable question from Caitlin Collins about it.
You said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago. And they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over, and that's why nobody watches you anymore?
Nag, nag, nag. You sound just like the Supreme Court. Nag, nag. But fear not, America. For every time a lamestream media journalist gets shunned, an ass-kissy one gets its wings.
Do you have a question, please?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you so much. You scored another major investment win this morning when NVIDIA pledged to build its AI supercomputer, the first time ever, right here in the United States.
Thank you. That's a question I like. That's true.
Yeah, that's not a question. I guess it's your favorite kind of question, a compliment. But rest easy, Americans, if there's one thing we all know, it's that first they come for the undocumented migrants, and as long as nobody speaks out, they stop.
You mentioned that you're open to deporting individuals that aren't foreign aliens but are criminals to El Salvador. Does that include potentially U.S. citizens, fully naturalized American?
If it's a homegrown criminal, I have no problem. I'm talking about really bad people. Really bad people.
He's going to do that to U.S. citizens. I think the hosts of The View are about to get administratively errored. I got to tell you, I did not think he would get this authoritarian this fast. I really didn't. I'm sorry. Who could have known? Maybe if somebody out there had yelled at me on Blue Sky about this, I would have known. But no one did. Except every day. In all caps. So I guess the question is, how authoritarian is we? Now, I don't accept your pity applause. Now, luckily for us, the world is full of authoritarian leaders that we can measure Trump against. Your Putins, your Xis, your Anna Wintours. So if Trump can put up a monster authoritarian score, you know what? Let's do this Dave Portnoy style. One clip. Everybody knows the rules. By the way, the greatest pizza reviews in the history of pizza. If you guys like pizza, for me, it's like watching porn. We already know Trump's done a lot of the standard fare. He's attacked the free press, pulled random people off the streets, made law firms and universities bend the knee, announced Department of Justice investigations into an individual whose sole crime was suggesting that the 2020 election had been safe and well administered. You know, the bad, bad people. But authoritarianism isn't just policies. It's an aesthetic. The opulence of medieval kings, the excesses of Middle Eastern autocrats. It's a Pinterest vibe that speaks to the power of one's position, the riches that are the privilege of the office. Does Trump measure up? Does he have the lack of available wall space?
You have the mantle, and you have the cherubs from, right. Is that from Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, that's actually, they're gold, all gold, look. And you know, it's angels.
They're angels. They visited me in the night and asked me to change my ways. So I held them down and dipped them in gold. I drowned them in gold, liquid gold. Have you ever heard an angel scream? It is erotic. By the way, if any of you are wondering if the cherubs that are now in the Oval Office are real gold, and I know many of you are wondering that, it is real gold. And there's a very good reason for that.
Throughout the years, people have tried to come up with a gold paint that would look like gold, and they've never been able to do it.
Can't do it.
You've never been able, look at that look. You've never been able to match gold with gold paint. That's why it's gold.
That dude is so blue collar. Always down at the factory with the boys. Why can't they make a gold paint that looks like gold that's not a leaf? I don't mind them canceling pediatric cancer research, but I hope by the end of the term we can come up with a good gold paint substitute because... But you know, rooms filled with real gold cherubs are nothing if those rooms aren't also filled with the echoes of the most embarrassingly sycophantic hosannas. One clip, everybody knows the rules.
Thank you for your leadership and thank you for everything you're doing.
I want to thank you for standing up to the Chinese Communist Party.
I want to thank you as well for the shipbuilding.
Your vision is a turning point and an inflection point in American history.
Your leadership at the border, absolutely remarkable.
What you're doing now, I think, is a great service to our country, but ultimately to the world.
You were overwhelmingly elected by the biggest majority.
You know what? I swear to God. What does she know? She's the Attorney General. She doesn't have the When I watch those cabinet meetings, I actually think, are they making fun of him? It's so over the top. Mr. President, oh, thank you so much. Your dick is so big. Your dick is so big, we can barely lift it because it's covered in real gold, not the paint, real gold. But you know, any run-of-the-mill authoritarian can get the praises from those that fear him, the OGs. The real autocrats extract something much, much weirder and humiliating. The forced, uncomfortable laughter.
결정이 있어. 공화국 창건 75돌을 앞두고 우리 국가의 위상을 다시금 과시할 수 있게 됐다고.
He had a hat on. And then he puts another hat on, the same hat, but still. That's on the North Korean website, Funny or You Die. And as America's dear leader, Donald Trump also has a tight five.
We're pulling all that out and putting the money toward the infrastructure, not the social movement from the last administration.
Good steel, right, as opposed to green paper mache. Okay, thanks. Great job.
That made no sense, right? Right, yeah. Nothing, right? Did that make any sense to you? Did it make any sense to me? Hey, you better laugh, though, right? Oh, put a hat on, put a hat on. It's just so weird. But the key to the authoritarian regime is the suspension of the normal processes by which you understand the world. The manner by which data and your experiences paint a cohesive, grounded picture of reality. The calling card of an authoritarian regime is that you must suspend that reality, that rationality, and then you test people by pushing the limits of that absurdity.
The White House released the results of President Trump's physical exam. His doctors say President Trump exhibits excellent physical health.
The report says he's 6'3", 224 pounds.
No. I'm gonna say no to either of those numbers. I don't want to be that guy, but he has a front butt. I mean, we all get there. It's fine. You can have it. But he is forged by Hephaestus. No. And by the way, that medical exam did not only confirm that Trump is physically perfect, his brain is also totally jacked.
I took a cognitive test, and I don't know what to tell you other than I got every answer right.
Can you tell us about the cognitive test? Is that man, woman, person, camera, TV?
It's I think it's a pretty well-known test. Whatever it is, I got it all right.
I think we all know what cognitive test we're talking about. But I would like to know, do you know what cognitive test? It's just bullshitting. I took a cognitive test about my memory. What was it? It's a test. Trump is such a medical marvel. What's the secret to his good health and youthful appearance?
Sense of humor decreases stress that he has. Everyone that knows the president knows how funny he is. That decreases stress.
Does it? Sense of humor decreases stress. Keeps you young looking. Is that what I hear you saying? May I, if I may, just for schnicks, offer the counter-argument? Do I look less stressed? No, don't look, I'm hideous. But you know what? He's got a good sense of humor and he's in pretty good shape. May work for your run-of-the-mill authoritarians, your Lukashenkos, your Maduros. Surely Trump is above that C tier.
Donald Trump is a genius.
Very different in the best possible way.
The president has an athlete's mindset.
Accessible, freewheeling, refreshing. It is like Christmas every day with President Trump.
He's like that Marvel superhero.
A mythic figure, almost like the various Scandinavian Beowulfs.
I'm obviously not a scholar in Viking lore. I don't remember there being Beowulfs. One Beowulf, wouldn't it also then be Beowulfs? But those are still just reaching for superlatives. Is there anyone else who wants to place him not on Mount Rushmore, but maybe Mount Sinai?
Can Trump be the biblical Moses?
No! I'm not the most observant Jew. I mean, this weekend I think I celebrated Purim, but... Isn't Moses the biblical Moses? And by the way, if you were Moses, I do think there were some thou shalt nots that you might want to take a look at. By the way, Moses, 6'4", 218, 48-inch article. But you know what? Even a superhero or a Viking or a mythic figure or a biblical prophet pales in comparison to the genius that we are witnessing.
Zelensky's playing checkers and Trump is playing chess.
Trump's 3D chess move.
He's actually playing 4D chess.
President Trump's 5D chess.
That's not a dimension. With length, width, depth. 4 is time. There's no fucking 5. There's no 5. He is a god who has created a whole other dimension through which he plays board games. Let me even see. How do you play 5-dimensional Trump chess? Let me see how we do this. So here's how he would probably do it. We lose them for DEI. Okay. Checkmate. I guess that's it. I guess that is 5D. You know, for an authoritarian that awesome, I guess words are not enough. Tributes to a great leader must show, not tell.
A new proposal by House Republicans to rename Washington Dulles International Airport after Donald Trump.
Brendan Carr, the FCC chairman, was seen wearing a gold pin of Trump's face.
A congresswoman introduced a bill to add President Trump to Mount Rushmore.
That would make President Trump's birthday a national holiday.
Put President Trump's likeness on the $100 bill.
A brand new $250 bill featuring Donald Trump's face.
He's going to be on all our money and all our f***ing mountains. So Trump's got it all. Authoritarian-wise, the looks, the attitude, the relentless dissent crushing, all the ingredients to be a top-tier authoritarian. All he needs now is to bring it home with his ruthless competence.
Chaos and confusion from Wall Street.
The market's lost more than $6.5 trillion.
They've wiped out $11 trillion.
Turning now to yet another plane crash.
The worst measles outbreak of this century.
100,000 federal workers have been fired.
The Trump administration unfiring some of the federal workers.
President Trump's tariff train escalates the global trade war.
The president hits pause on his global trade war.
The president made it clear yesterday this is not a negotiation.
And Donald Trump says it is a negotiation.
The president exempted smartphones, computers, and other devices from his new reciprocal tariffs.
The president later posting there was no tariff exception announced on Friday.
So close. So frustrating to see someone just on the precipice of illiberal leadership, but he just can't put it all together. Is Trump Putin or Xi? Not yet. But there's no question that he's a young upstart. There's a lot of potential. But if he can't bump his numbers in the getting shit done category, he's going to hit the ceiling pretty quick. You know what? Let me, Donald, let me have a word. President Trump, Generalissimo. Oh, great Moses. I don't know what your advisors have told you about the authoritarian bargain, but the basic deal is this. The American people look the other way while you disappear undesirables, knuckle under the elites, ban all 7 trans athletes from our nation's beloved NCAA fencing tournaments. You know, all the people that are holding us back. And then you, in turn, make shit work. You want to ignore the Supreme Court and all the other courts and take away people's licenses to broadcast? Fine. But when the planes go up, you're going to go down. And not on fire. You don't even have to have them be on time. You can take over Greenland, demonize Canada, dominate the golfing pro circuit, but in return, our children should be somewhat safe from most Victorian-era diseases. We love our children. We love them. We love our children, especially the Rizzler. You want to destroy NPR and PBS, the Voice of America, sell the naming rights of the Washington Monument to Hims.com, use the R word, the P word, the C word, make up your own slurs, have the United States Naval Academy remove Maya Angelou from its bookshelves, but for some reason keep Mein Kampf, which is a real f***ing thing that they did, we'll be fine. We weren't that crazy about this system of government in the first place. But you keep f***ing this up, and some of these lawyers and universities and corporate leaders are going to start to think about suggesting, respectfully, to each other in a very tightly controlled text chat that someone should reach out to someone who knows someone in your administration to express mild dissatisfaction. Because injustice anywhere is not something we mostly think about. And remember, you don't have that much time to get it right. Because it's not like your vice authoritarian Butterfingers is inspiring any confidence.
Look at the size of that trophy next to JD Vance.
I know. Those are some big young gentlemen and a big trophy as well.
Big dudes, yeah. Oh, and it looks like the trophy fell. That's unfortunate.
Oopsie! Administrative error.
Donald Trump figured out that when the Supreme Court tells him to do something,
he can just ignore them, which is why I'm always saying the Supreme Court needs nukes, okay? That's way more effective than that little hammer. Because right now, it's been 5 days since they told Donald Trump to help bring back Kilmar Garcia after they, accidentally deported him to the mega prison in El Salvador. And it doesn't seem like anyone's in a rush to bring him back.
The Trump administration says it cannot return a Maryland man mistakenly deported to El Salvador. Trump officials argue that since Abrego Garcia is locked inside a prison in El Salvador, it's essentially not their problem anymore and they can't do anything about it.
But yesterday at the White House, Bukele said he didn't have the authority to release Garcia either.
I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
This is like every customer service call I've ever been on. Oh, I'm sorry, this is billing. You're looking for technical support. Let me transfer you. Hello, this is technical support. Oh, sorry, you need billing. Can someone just help me cancel my f***ing cable? Except for Comedy Central, which is a vital service for American society. But the Trump administration isn't just enjoying their fun new constitutional loophole. They're also going on offense. That's why Stephen Miller, Trump advisor and Multiverse's most whiny Lex Luthor, was also on the driveway asking questions he did not want the answer to.
Can anyone here tell me what would happen to the illegal alien from El Salvador if he came back to the United States? Does anyone here know? Does anyone want to guess? Any of you?
He could be with his family.
Does any of you know the answer to the question? Legally, what would happen if he came back here? Does any of you know? Any of you?
Do you really believe the Supreme Court?
I'm talking.
Do you really believe the Supreme Court doesn't?
I'm talking now.
Doesn't think he should be returned? Why was it unanimous?
You're done.
You asked the question, man. You can't be mad that they're trying to answer you. It's like if a teacher said, okay, class, who can tell me the capital of Norway? Anyone? Anyone? Shut the f*** up. Now answer the question. I said shut up. But it's not just Stephen Miller. The entire Trump administration is getting frustrated with how these dumb libs are whining about this one guy from Maryland. Oh, it's so awful. We accidentally sent a guy to the world's worst prison without trial or due process. No, wait. Shut the f*** up, okay? Because according to Homeland Security, he wasn't that great.
The media would love for you to believe that this is a media darling, that he's just some Maryland father. Well, Osama bin Laden was also a father, and yet he wasn't a good guy, and they actually are both terrorists.
This tween influencer is right. It's the position of this administration that all fathers are basically Osama bin Laden. I mean, seriously, this guy has no criminal record at all. If he's a terrorist, he might be the worst terrorist ever. I mean, he's been in America for 14 years and hasn't done any terrorism. So maybe Trump is right. Maybe immigrants really are lazy. What is happening here, okay? This is America. We don't just send someone to prison without evidence. We plant the evidence on them. It's called due process. But at least one Democrat is actually going to do something about this.
Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen says he's considering going to El Salvador to meet with the country's president.
He needs to come home, and that is why I do intend to visit El Salvador this week to try to visit him, to let him know that we're working to bring him home.
This is a trap. It's a trap. Do not go. This guy's going to go there, and the prison guards are going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, Senator. Yeah, he's right inside that cell over there. Yeah, go on in. It's all the way in the back there. Just keep going. I mean, good for the senator for what he's doing, but it's got to be at least a little disappointing for Garcia. He's like, someone's coming to break me out of prison? Is this SEAL Team 6? Is it the guy from Prison Break with the tattoos? No, it's me, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen. But maybe this is the beginning of a new resistance to Trump, because other people are starting to fight back wicked hard.
A showdown is now taking shape between the Trump administration and America's oldest university. The federal government announcing it will freeze more than $2 billion in grants for Harvard and $60 million in contracts after the school refused to comply with demands to limit activism on campus, eliminate its DEI programs, and make other changes.
Holy shit, we finally found a force more powerful than Trump's hatred. Harvard's love of sending rejection letters. But look, I don't usually root for Harvard because they're Harvard. They've got everything. It's like rooting for Jeff Bezos to win the lottery. But in this case, I have to give them credit. They're standing up for their principles and for everyone's right to free speech, even if it means possible financial ruin.
One of the big questions going forward, is Harvard going to dip into that $50 billion plus endowment to make up for that federal shortfall?
Okay, I hate them again. But the best part about Harvard's resistance to Donald Trump is that it gives people the chance to go on TV and let you know where they went to school.
I myself am a first-generation college graduate. I graduated from Harvard.
I should disclose I went to Harvard, so I'm very familiar with the president and with how the community feels right now.
But as a Harvard alum, and as you know, I am as well.
I know many alums, including people I know very closely and faculty members like me.
I know you look really surprised because I'm wearing a tie you've never seen before. It has a little Latin word inside each one of those symbols there, the word veritas, meaning truth, of course. And this is the one night, it's a one night only appearance of this tie.
I know that that is not something that you usually billboard in the world about yourself.
Oh, God, the only thing worse than people bragging about going to Harvard is people pretending to be embarrassed about going to Harvard. It's like, oh, my darkest secret, please don't make me tell anyone, please. No, I went to Harvard. Harvard. My favorite guy is Lawrence O'Donnell. He's really embarrassed he has to talk about this. I mean, it's definitely not something he will bring up all the time over the course of many years.
Let me just say, confessionally, I went to Harvard College. Most of the good things that have happened to me in some way trace back to Harvard. You and I, as Harvard Americans, I first heard him speak as a guest lecturer at Harvard. Okay, well, I got into Harvard too. In fact, it was the only college I applied to.
So I know we're trying to bring people back from the El Salvador mega prison, but do they have room for one more, by any chance? It's been 2 weeks since Liberation Day, and we're in a full-blown trade war with China, with tariffs now at 145%, which means the trade war has officially moved from shower to grower. And some people are concerned about this trade war because they want the economy to be good or something. But you know what? Trump is not stressing about it.
Yesterday, the White House press secretary reading a statement she said President Trump dictated.
China needs to make a deal with us. We don't have to make a deal with them. There's no difference between China and any other country, except they are much larger.
Yeah, that's kind of a big difference, though. It's like saying, why should I be scared to fight The Rock? He's just like any other person except much larger. Yeah, that's the scary part. But I guess Trump's people must be confident that they can push China around because they're not just throwing around tariffs, they're throwing some shade.
Vice President JD Vance is caught in a firestorm of his own making, calling the Chinese peasants.
To make it a little bit more crystal clear, we borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture. That is not a recipe for economic prosperity.
Oh, shit! He's really calling Chinese people peasants. Nobody likes to be called a peasant. Even legit peasants are like, actually, I consider myself more of an agricultural entrepreneur. But yeah, JD Vance called the Chinese peasants a couple weeks ago, and now that the news finally got to their villages by donkey cart, they are pissed.
Tonight we are seeing China trading insults with the Vice President JD Vance in the latest knock against President Trump's trade war.
让美国那些乡巴佬们在中华民族5000年文明面前哀鸣吧。
That went so hard. Oh no, are we the Drake in this beef? Are we the certified peasants? At the same time, though, saying your 5,000-year-old civilization doesn't intimidate Americans because half the people here don't even think the Earth is that old. Also, let's just be real, okay? There's no way Americans are the peasants here. Do peasants have medical debt? Didn't think so. Checkmate, China. But it's not just Chinese officials who are mad. China has extremely online losers just like our peasants, and they're mad too.
On China's tightly controlled internet, government censors are allowing Vance's interview to go viral, amplifying the outrage, igniting anger and sarcasm. Look, this is their true face, arrogant and rude as always. We may be peasants, but we have the world's best high-speed rail, the most powerful logistics, and leading AI and drone technologies. Aren't such peasants quite impressive? One hashtag about the Chinese peasants remark shot to the top of China's Twitter-like platform Weibo.
Whoa. Wait, is that Michael Costa? How did the third whitest host of The Daily Show go viral in China before the Asian one? That's f***ed up. That's the same triangle and everything. Wait, is China watching this? Oh, okay. Well, hey, thanks for watching this. Hi, 中国的朋友们，我不相信我现在说的话，我只是在诈 Paramount 的钱。感谢你们盗用这个视频。I was just talking tough to China. But words are not China's only weapon in this trade war. They're also using, trade.
China's retaliation now includes suspending exports of rare earth minerals and magnets to the United States. Those materials are essential to a number of American industries, including car makers, aerospace manufacturers, and semiconductor producers.
China produces 90% of the world's rare earth minerals.
Okay, so rare earth metals are critical. Well, maybe we should have thought that before we launched a trade war against a country that had them all. I mean, where are we going to get our gadolinium now, huh? We're going to buy Congolese gadolinium? That shit's mid. Well, what else are they hitting us with?
China has reportedly told Chinese airlines to stop buying parts from American companies, and it says it will no longer accept deliveries of Boeing jets.
Oh, come on, you're not going to accept our Boeing jets? Well, good luck finding another plane with self-crashing technology. Is there anything else?
China could strike back in other ways, like urging Chinese students to study elsewhere, telling travel agents to steer tour groups away from U.S. cities.
Oh no, if Chinese students stop coming to the U.S., who are Americans going to lose their spots to? Indians? Yeah, that'll work, yeah, actually, yes. But look, Americans have to stay strong, okay? I don't want to hear any whining. Oh no, China's not buying our Made in America products. Well, suck it up, patriots. Certain industries are just going to have to suffer, and that's how it is. Because this is war.
China announced they're restricting imports of Hollywood movies to their country.
Okay, f that. This war has gone too far. Some of our finest, most likable Chinese Malaysian actors have built a career in Asian-themed movies that depend on the Chinese market, all right? It's called Crazy Rich Asians, not crazy just getting by Asians. And don't forget, this affects you too, China. If you ban American movies, how will you ever find out the ending to all these remakes of movies from decades ago? But as drastic as some of these trade policies are, they're nothing compared to the awesome power of Chinese propaganda. And luckily for China, we all have a Chinese propaganda app on our phones.
They're the videos seen by millions of Americans. TikTokers claiming to work at Chinese factories that make high-end products and offering to sell them directly to Americans for much, much cheaper.
Products like Gucci, Prada, Louis Vuitton.
Do you like this bag or this? $2. All in $2.
Yeah, good news, honey. I am getting you that Gucci bag for your birthday. But forget about the designer products, because these TikToks aren't just offering cheap Chanel bags. They're offering cheap everything.
Do you want to buy laundry pots? Do you want laundry capsule? Do you want laundry beads? One pot costs only 5 cents.
Just to ship customer-scented candles to US for only $2.
Do you need a house? We can build it for you in just 48 hours. Place an order, and we will deliver it to a country.
Good news, honey. I am getting you that prefabricated house for Memorial Day. RFK is known for his controversial health ideas like drinking raw milk and adding roadkill to the food pyramid. But the conspiracy theory that he's most known for is that vaccines cause autism. He's basically a health expert the same way Katy Perry is a rocket scientist.
You never know how much love is inside of you, how loved you are until the day you launch.
I have a teenage dream that she shut the up. So, unsurprisingly, RFK Jr. brought his anti-vax policies to the administration. And yesterday, he gave a speech about autism, and people are pissed.
Comments from Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that are raising eyebrows. During his first news conference as the nation's top health official, he addressed rising autism rates while calling the disease preventable.
RFK Jr.'s bleak description of people living with autism causing outrage.
Autism destroys families. These are kids who will never pay taxes.
Wait, that's what you're gonna lead with? Like that? That's the big tragedy for you? These poor kids will never know the joy of attaching a Schedule K to a 1040A. It's not even accurate. I mean, autistic people do pay taxes. Are you thinking of art history majors? But, I mean, please, give us more of your expert opinions about what autistic people can and can't do.
They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date.
What do you mean they don't date? I mean, does the candy compound not have Netflix? Okay, because David took Abby on a fucking safari to Africa, and yeah, could Connor be a little more open-minded about dating blondes? Sure, but couldn't we all? I mean, everything this guy said is ridiculous. Autistic kids will never write poems? Well, who wants kids to write more poems? That's something we should be preventing. So it's no wonder why people are pissed at him. Most autistic people can do all that stuff. And even the ones who can't are still human beings. Who even made RFK the judge of what makes life worth living? I'm sorry, they'll never know the joy of planting bear carcasses in Central Park or holding 85% of the world's mucus in their throats. But whatever. This is a huge project he's taking on. I mean, let him spend the next 2 decades trying to figure it out.
By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
So you think you're going to have a pretty good idea, huh?
We will know by September.
By September? Wow, that was quick and very specific. I mean, I ordered a couch that isn't going to come by then. But good to know when I'm watching the Wicked sequel this fall, I can focus on the plot instead of wondering what causes autism. I mean, why are you even pretending to study it? We all know you're going to blame vaccines, okay? This whole thing is more rigged than a golf championship at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, just look at who he hired to do the research.
Kennedy has tapped a previously discredited vaccine skeptic, David Geyer, as a senior data analyst.
Geyer was previously fined $10,000 by the Maryland Board of Physicians for practicing medicine without a license.
You know when commercials say 9 out of 10 doctors agree? This is the 10th doctor. I mean, this guy looks like the reason second opinions were invented. But enough about RFK. Let's move on to Elon Musk, living proof that autistic people can do anything, including destroy the government. And as far as his dating life goes, Elon isn't lacking there either.
According to the Wall Street Journal, Elon Musk followed cryptocurrency influencer Tiffany Fong on X and began liking and replying to her tweets. Around November of last year, Musk sent her a direct message asking if she was interested in having his child, according to people familiar with the matter. The two had never met in person.
Elon, can you just be a normal person and send a dick pic, all right? This is why you should switch the settings on your DMs to followers who don't want to impregnate me only. I mean, you haven't met this person, you're already trying to raw doge her? Like, I have to work up the courage to put the moves on my own wife, all right? Like, hey, if you're not doing anything later, maybe you could, like, I don't know, like kiss or whatever. Never mind, it's stupid. But Let's stop thinking about Elon's sperm and get back to actual government stuff. Specifically, the Pentagon, where Pete Hegseth, defense secretary, and guy whose tattoos are somehow embarrassed by him, just scored another victory in his war on thinking.
The Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs has been ordered to purge its library of books related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, along with some topics related to race and gender. The Naval Academy Library tossed out nearly 400 books, including titles on feminism, civil rights history, and the Holocaust. Speaking of, at the Naval Academy, Hitler's Mein Kampf made the cut and is still available to read.
That's where you draw the line? Like, yeah, I don't want one of those woke social justice books. I'm looking for more of a beach read. Do you have Mein Kampf? This type of censorship is outrageous and un-American, and this has got to be the most disgusting thing Pete Hegseth has ever done.
If Pete Hegseth would have a bagel with cream cheese, he would drop it, it would land upside down, the cream cheese on the floor, and he would pick it up. I'm like, wait, is there any hair on there?
Oh, no.
It is so gross, and he would just pop it in his mouth.
Okay, well, I think we just found the cause of autism. This is the worst thing I've ever heard a defense secretary do, and I'm including Vietnam. I know he's caught in everything, Bagel, but you're supposed to draw a line somewhere, okay? Like.